We are all getting ready to spend another happy Christmas time with our families. Even though this time of year is all about consumerism, the atmosphere is still very welcoming and warm. There is much regret, however, in thinking that most people are more interested in Christmas shopping, rather than the real reason for the recurrence. Everyone relaxes, buys and exchanges gifts, takes vacations, eats and drinks, but few think of the one they are celebrating. Furthermore, if we look more carefully, we realize that Jesus was not even born on this date, and did not give any command to remember his birth, except to celebrate his death. So we realize that it is a completely false holiday, a great hypocrisy in which we are all immersed. But, when was Jesus really born? Why is it celebrated on December 25th? As we all know, the first Christians, who knew the date of birth of Jesus, were persecuted until the Edict of Milan, written in 313 AD by the Roman emperors. When the emperors decided on the religious life of the empire, they combined pagan holidays, transforming them into Christian ones to gain the approval of the people. Thus, the Saturnalia holiday, which was one of the most widespread and popular religious holidays of ancient Rome, which took place at the winter solstice and was a little similar to our carnival, was combined with the birth of Jesus. The date of the holiday, December 25th, was confirmed by ancient certified Roman documents in the year 353 AD. It was the feast of the god Saturn, for the pagans, the god of the Golden Age, when men lived happily, in the abundance of all things and in perfect equality. It was celebrated with many feasts and banquets with much abundance and gifts. Exactly the same as Christmas today. In practice, nowadays, without knowing it, they are celebrating the pagan god Saturn, while they think they are celebrating Jesus. But when was Jesus actually born? Jesus was born in Bethlehem, at the time of King Herod the Great, who lived from 37 BC to about 4 BC. In the days immediately before the birth of Jesus, the Romans called a great census, and as the Gospel tells, Joseph and Mary had to go to Bethlehem. The census of Quirinius took place in 6 BC, as confirmed by the Roman historian, Josephus Flavius. But another very peculiar event occurred in those years, that can help us confirm the exact date of birth. The story of the Magi. This is what the Bible says in Matthew chapter 2 verses 1-2. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star at its rising, and have come to worship him. The Magi came from the east. East of Jerusalem was Persia. In tradition they are the three Magi, or the three wise men. In the translation from Greek the meaning is priest and wise man of the ancient Persian religion. Furthermore, the Gospel does not specify how many there were, probably tradition has associated the number 3 with the number of gifts that were given to Jesus. So they were wise men and scholars. In fact they speak of a star, which they had seen rise, because of which they understood that Jesus would be born. But two questions arise: what star are they talking about? How did they know that the King of the Jews would be born precisely at the appearance of that star? During the year 7 BC, or 6 BC if we count the year 0, there occurred a triple planetary conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, in the constellation of the age of Pisces, which has never been equaled in these 2 millennia. The Magna conjunction, this is its name, had 3 peaks during that year, May 30th, September 30th and December 1st. This conjunction, by expert astronomers, can be predicted hundreds of years in advance. But how did they know that Jesus would be born precisely on the occasion of that planetary conjunction? The Magi, as written in the Bible, came from the east, from ancient Persia. After the fall of Jerusalem, in 606 BC, the surviving Jews were deported to the city of Babylon, in Persia. Here the prophet Daniel studied very carefully the dates of the arrival of Jesus, and was known as a prophet by the same Babylonian scholars, who passed on their studies to posterity. In chapter 9 of his homonymous biblical book, Daniel wrote the prophecy of the 70 weeks. The prophecy calculates the time from the edict of rebuilding Jerusalem until the suppression of the Messiah. It is very likely that Daniel, based on the calculations, also calculated the age that Jesus was when he was baptized. According to Samuel 5:4 it tells us the age of King David when he was made king, 30 years old and was born in Bethlehem as well as Jesus. At this point, it was easy for the Magi to calculate that, exactly 30 years before the baptism of Jesus, this great celestial event would take place. When they left Persia, the planetary conjunction was in the east and was visible at dawn. Driven by faith, they made a long journey to Jerusalem and asked where Jesus was. The Jewish scribes and prelates of that time confirmed to them, with the words of Micah chapter 5 verse 1, that he would be born in Bethlehem. And you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, too small to be among the clans of Judah. From you shall come forth for me one who is to be ruler in Israel. His origin is from of old, from ancient days. In the meantime, Jesus was born when the conjunction was at its maximum, on September 30th, 6th BC. The Magi purposely looked for Jesus during the third conjunction in December, to make sure they saw him born. So they left Jerusalem for Bethlehem and, when they arrived in the evening, the conjunction was right above them, and above the place where Jesus had been born for 2 months. In fact, the last conjunction occurred on December 1st, when the planets were in the south-southwest, exactly equal to the angle of the path made starting from Jerusalem. The original Greek translation does not say that the star stopped, but that it was right above the place where Jesus was. This story confirms the date of Jesus' birth, September 30th, 6th BC. The year of his birth in itself is not very important, but the memory of his death is very important. In fact, Jesus, having been born in 7 BC, or 6 BC if we count the year 0, and having lived 33.5 years, his death was in 27 AD. During Easter 2027, the 2000th anniversary of his death will occur. A series of events and prophecies lead us exactly to that date. This makes us understand that it will not be a common anniversary, as they were in the previous 2000 years. All these prophecies are carefully described in the 12 videos of the series The Evidence. 7 videos describe how a star will become supernova and explode precisely in those years. The other 3 videos talk about the biblical prophecies that all point to the same date. We invite you to follow the entire series of videos, starting with one with an astronomical theme that describes the danger of supernovae.